Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to the Enterprise Architecture Radio. If you're thinking about organizational complexity and agility, if you're concerned about operational efficiencies and are thinking of taking it to the next level, if managing innovation is one of your priorities, you've come to the right place. On this podcast, we talk about all of that and more. It's a jungle out there, and we will attempt to navigate this jungle of frameworks, methods, and most importantly, enterprise architecture in practice. In the last episode, we talked about bimodal IT and how enterprise architecture can help in a bimodal IT setup. I talked about the target first architecture and the baseline first architecture and how mode 1 and mode 2 of bimodal IT, mode 1 being the business as usual, keeping the lights on type of projects which we need to execute, and mode 2 being the innovation initiatives and the exploratory initiatives that we need to work on. How mode 1 and mode 2 can use baseline first architecture and targets first architecture to get their work going. Now, after listening to my podcast, I've received a request to talk about the challenges of bimodal IT and why bimodal IT fails. So this was a Diwali week, and I did not get a lot of time to do a lot of research. So this podcast is going to be off the top of my head, based on the experience that I've had with bimodal IT in my career. The first biggest challenge that bimodal IT faces is budgets. The mode 2 specifically, which focuses more on innovation initiatives and exploratory initiatives. The business doesn't see this as a value adding activity in most cases. They see that, okay, if it is an operational activity, if it is absolutely necessary to keep the business going, then I will invest money in it. But when it comes to exploration, we have to admit that most of our exploratory innovation initiatives do not succeed. It has a very low success rate because most of the times we get to know that either it's not practical or marketable or it's not really a reasonable idea. But what we must also keep in mind is that the the very few ideas that do succeed, the outliers, so to speak, could practically transform the organization into something completely new, something very, very futuristic, and it could put the organization on the map. Take Kodak, for example, or Xerox, and the examples are many, many out there. But yes, that is the first challenge. Business does not always understand that innovation initiatives are important. And even though most of the money that they invest in innovation initiatives are failed projects, it's the few outliers that we must focus on. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge that I've seen that bimodal IT faces, and this is again around mode 2, is analysis paralysis. Innovation initiatives are supposed to be quick and dirty. They're not supposed to be very detailed. We need to take a look at the idea, take a look at how we are going to be implemented, spike it, analyze whether it's going to be practical, marketable, what's the return of investment, and whether it is reasonable or not, and then get out of it quickly. Because we must also keep in mind that the investment that is being made on the idea does require a return of investment. And if we get into an analysis paralysis mode, it leads to nowhere and money keeps getting poured in. Not only that, mode 2, if not run very, very efficiently, could lead to not having very clear deliverables. If I give you the example of Thomas Alva Edison, he used to run the Thomas A. Alva Edison Inc. company, and he had a team of about 80 or so scientists constantly working on innovative ideas. He had thousands of patents in his name, but that only happened because he ran his shop very, very efficiently. The scientists who were working on various inventions and ideas were given a target. They were supposed to come up with X number of patent ideas every month. Sure, many of those patents would fail, but he gave them clear deliverables. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. And that's how we are supposed to run the mode 2 of bimodal IT. Understand what it is that we are trying to achieve. The ideas may be the most innovative, but the deliverables should be clear. Now, sometimes it's a blue skies vision. We don't really know what we are looking for. We're just exploring, right? But even so, There should be clear targets. There should be clear deliverables as to what it is that we are trying to achieve at the end of every month. We should be able to track progress. The business perceives mode two to be a dead end and is not very willing to invest simply because they don't see a return of investment. They do not see the mode two people giving them a report of what it is that they did this month and what their achievements were. Now, sometimes, even though you don't have a lot of achievements, when you see a report of what they're working on and when you see progress, when you see that bad ideas are being cleared out immediately, good ideas are being pursued for a reasonable amount of time, the business might be a little more motivated to invest. So how you run your mode 2 organization will also address the first problem that we had, which is the budget problem. The third challenge that I see in bimodal IT is that there is a wide gap between mode 1 and mode 2. Now, mode 1 is usually run in a very governed, very systematic, very process oriented way. We make sure that all the checkboxes are ticked and everything. And mode 2, on the other hand, is run in a very haphazard way. And I have seen this in many organizations in financial services, in pharmaceutical industries, and so on and so forth. And what ends up happening is that the chief innovation officer or whoever, whatever the title that might be, gets fired because of not being able to deliver anything. Or even though they do deliver, taking that idea, even though it is proved to be reasonable, and converting it into a mode one, which is having a project, having a budget, executing it, etc., is extremely difficult. So I am not saying that we should run mode two in a very, very practical and very process-oriented way because there is a certain amount of chaos that is required when you're working on innovative ideas. But there should be a team that converts mode 2 ideas into mode 1. There should be thought put into place to look at how we are going to take that chaotic uh, but reasonable idea and convert it into a governed, audited, process based project and execute it to fruition, to market it. Maybe instead of bimodal IT, there should probably be a trimodal IT, mode 3 being the innovative exploratory ideas which are chaotic. Mode two being the organization that takes these chaotic but reasonable ideas and converts them into a audited project-based project. And then mode one being the business as usual, keep the lights on type of project. So that's one of the challenges of being able to take a chaotic idea and move it into a process-based audited project. I think that's all I can think of today. Now, again, this is the Diwali week, so I've spent most of my time with the family, cleaning up the house, decluttering the house, having a lot of fun with friends, and so on and so forth. So I didn't get a lot of time to research, and I'm sorry about that. But keep these ideas coming. I love it when the audience gives suggestions about what I should be covering in my next ideas. And also, I would like to hear from you about what you think about bimodal IT, about enterprise architecture, and so on and so forth. Do write to me. Before I end this episode, I would like to wish you a very happy Diwali. I know Diwali is not celebrated around the world the way it is celebrated in India. And there are some things that I'm not very proud of, like all the crackers that we burst and all the pollution that we create. And personally, I don't do that. But Diwali is not just about that. Diwali is also about the celebration of light. It's a celebration of good winning over evil. It is the celebration of families and friends getting together and having a good time. It is the celebration of light and color. And I wish you the same. I wish you have a lovely rest of the year and the next year, full of light and color and success and happiness and peace. That's all I have for you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. More about organizational agility, innovation, and enterprise architecture in the practical world, in the business, right here on the show. But before I end the show, I want you to help me out with this one little thing. Pause the show and share this podcast via WhatsApp or a text message with just one person who might be interested in these topics. It could be anyone, your colleague, your boss, someone in your team. That's all I want. Just one share with one message via text or WhatsApp or what have you. And it would go a long way in supporting us and growing our listener base. Also, please don't forget to follow the podcast. That way, You'll get notified when we publish a new episode. If you want to find out more about us, you can visit us at enterprisearchitectureradio.com. If you have ideas, thoughts, disagreements, please feel free to write to me directly. We also have a Telegram group if you'd like to contribute to the EA discussions or whatever. Just search for Enterprise Architecture Radio on Telegram, or the URL to join the group is https://t.me/Enterprise Architecture Radio. While our contact details are there in the show notes, it's very easy to find us really. Just search for Enterprise Architecture Radio anywhere. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Clubhouse, anywhere. And you'll find a way to get in touch with us. Once again, I hope you had fun, and I'll see you in the next one.